a mechanical keyboard, community keyboard for $55. Talk about value. I'm Redragon and welcome to the channel. This is a really small keyboard, and this is a great keyboard for those that have very limited desk space. In terms of keyboard for work, it depends on how much you will be using the numpad. If you use the numpad for work, then this is obviously not for you. I really like the look of the keyboard. It looks very minimalistic. That's a really good buzzword to add. And the layout is standard, so this is nice because they thought about the community when they made this keyboard. I think they know that the community likes to mod their keyboard, and having a standard layout makes it easy to find keycaps replacement in the aftermarket. I like how they were about to keep the F keys bound to the number row, and you can have the G keys are also bound to the number row, but I don't know how useful that would be because you would have to hold function button then press the key, so I don't think this is something that would be a fast activation, but I think there's a magic function at the cap locks, and that would make it so that you don't have to hold the function for the G keys, which is a nice touch. They went with the more traditional enclosed design, and I think all keyboards with this size have that design, but I could be wrong. Let me know. This keyboard has the dust-proof brown switch, and when I look at the switch, it said Redragon on it, so it could be an in-house switch from just looking at the switch. I think these are KO box switches, but then again, my knowledge of box switches are pretty limited because I haven't really had the chance to try out a lot of them, so if you know more, then comment down below. As for the brown switches on the keyboard, I like more than something like the MX Brown because they're not as linear. Like the tactility is more pronounced here, and the switch isn't that heavy too, so that's really good. The travel is very smooth, and I can go pretty fast with the keyboard without having much of a hiccup. The size of the keyboard does take some getting used to, but after about 30 minutes or so, I can feel pretty comfortable with this keyboard, and it makes me understand something like the 60% form factor. The light is on the PCB, but these are swappable switches, which is nice because if one switch has an error, then you just replace it and get another one. I think all mechanical keyboards should be like this. Anyways, here's what the keyboard sounds like. This keyboard uses cherry stabilizers, which is nice. I like it. It's easy to clean. Most keyboards have them. The longer keycaps don't feel as good if you have a keyboard that uses Cold-Star stabilizer, but it's harder to take out the longer keycaps with the Cold-Star stabilizer. This keyboard uses double shot ABS caps that I found in most budget clone mechanical keyboards, and these are one of those like shiny piano black on the sides, which makes me think the keyboard keycaps look kind of cheap. The materials inside the cap looks clean and you can clearly see the double shot, so that's nice. A good thing to know is that you can always replace the keycaps if you don't like them. The flip-up feet also acts as a rubber pad, which is a good idea, and I think all mechanical keyboards should do something like this because it keeps the keyboard planted at both angles. This keyboard has a detachable USB-C cable, which is nice because when I think of a lot of detachable cable keyboards, they're usually micro USB, so this is actually really good. The cable included is rubber and there's Velcro, which makes it easy to tie up and transport. Because this keyboard is Bluetooth, I'm pretty sure you want to know about battery life, so there's a 3000 milliamp battery, which is a pretty good size considering the size of the keyboard. It's rated to last up to 15 hours, and I've been using this keyboard for the past week leading up to this review, and I have not need to recharge the keyboard, so I think it's pretty good. if you have other clone keyboards, then the software might get a little bit mixed up reading the wrong keyboard. So I have the Inland Optical Blue as my daily driver, and when I install the software thinks my keyboard is the Draconic, so that's something to keep in mind. Besides that, the software is actually pretty simple. Every single key is macroable, which is nice. There are lots of lighting effects, but there aren't layers of lighting effects. So if you're coming from something like a K70 RGB, then this keyboard will seem rather limited in terms of options for you. Since this is a budget board, I don't think there are going to be software updates, but you never know. So, apparently there's a range of price on this keyboard. The one I got was $55, but I seen some for $65. There was one for $75. My review up to this point was based on $55 because it's $5 more than something like the K55 from Corsair, then you can get this one. But if you're spending around $65, it's still pretty good. If you're at $75, I guess it's kind of good, but at this point you're getting it for the love of the form factor, and to be honest, even if you're at $75, you're still way cheaper than the community keyboards that are going for several hundreds with the same form factor. This keyboard even has brown tactile switches like most of those community keyboards tend to have anyways. So for the money, it's a cheap way to be part of their community, I guess, because of the form factor, but bringing this keyboard to a meet, you might not get the attention that you're looking for. For the money, even at $75, I still think it's a pretty decent purchase. Subscribe, bell, comment, like, thumbs up for more content. You guys stay awesome.